Hello and welcome. My name is Dan Patterson, founder and CEO of Acumen, a thought leader in project analytics. This presentation is an insight into how today thousands of planners, schedule analysts, cost account managers, and project managers are all using Fuse to determine not only schedule quality and hence achieve compliance, but equally importantly through advanced forensics gain a unique insight into where their project or portfolios require remediation to ensure on-time, on-budget completion. Let's take a look. As an analyst using Fuse, I have the flexibility of analyzing data irrespective of its data source. So whether I'm using Microsoft Project, Primavera, again whether it's P3, P6, even R8, or additional tools such as Primavera Risk Analysis, Deltek's Open Plan and Cobra, Asta Power Project, Aries Prism G2, or even Microsoft Excel, the approach and the ease at which I can import data and subsequently analyze is exactly the same. Let's take a look at analyzing a sample Primavera schedule. Simply select the schedule in question, I can import the data, and immediately start my analysis. Now at this point I could even email the Fuse workbook to other Fuse users and they could subsequently run their analysis without needing the original data file. The reason being, Fuse actually encapsulates the source data within a Fuse workbook. Let's go straight into our first analysis. The analysis view is really the heart of the Fuse product. It's a highly interactive view and it's based on analyzing your schedule through libraries of metrics. The concept is very simple. Choose from predefined view templates, as you can see at the bottom here, categorized into basic, characteristics, duration, logic, lags, constraints, etc. Or optionally build up a view template through the metric library. Simply expand down to the selected metric library, select the desired metric, and add to the view. In this first example, we've taken our project, we've run our first Fuse analysis, and immediately we are presented with the results. Now, as I mentioned, the view is highly interactive. The idea is that you can click on any result to reveal the activities driving that particular metric. So in the example here, I'm looking at soft constraints. I've clicked on the result and I can see the three activities that are carrying those soft constraints. Exactly the same for negative float, open ends, etc., etc. Now, in what we call the activity browser here in the bottom right corner, I actually have the flexibility of looking at very large data sets in views other than just a list. So an example being I could show activities as a scorecard, as an interactive Gantt chart. I can even prioritize results using what we call a heat map, where the size of the box and the color of the box for each of the activities can be set to any activity attribute, whether it's duration, cost, lag, float, even performance. And really what this allows me to do is to pinpoint those activities from my set of results that require the most attention. Now, one of the core capabilities of the analysis view is to actually drill down within my project. Using the simple menus in the top left here, I can, for example, slice and dice or group, or what we call ribbonize, by any activity attribute, including codes, user-defined fields. I can group by resources. I can even group and slice and dice by WBS. So in my example, I'm going to go ahead and select WBS. I could run my Fuse analysis, and rather than simply looking at the results for my project as a whole, I can actually now start to prioritize based on WBS element. I could even drill down further. So drilling down into procurement, I can see all procurement activities, and then specifically within procurement, I may choose to further slice and dice by maybe subcontractor. I could even slice and dice by perhaps critical, non-critical activities. So within the procurement grouping of activities, I can now differentiate those activities that fall on the critical path versus those activities that do not. Now, in a similar manner to slicing and dicing my project through ribbons, the main analysis view also enables me to better understand the quality of my schedule over time. So at the bottom of the screen here we can see what we call the phase analyzer, and in the same way that we were able to slice and dice using the ribbon analyzer, we can actually slice by time period. Not only can I look at the project on a yearly basis, I can even select my own time slice. I can analyze, in this case, by fiscal quarter and start to plot the information graphically, adding metrics as I choose, getting a much deeper insight into the quality of my schedule over time. Many of the metrics used for analysis within Fuse are based on industry standards, including DCMA's 14-point assessment and GAO's scheduling best practices. In addition to these, Fuse includes over 250 advanced metrics pertaining not just to schedule quality, but also spanning execution performance, earned value, earned schedule, and most recently, baseline compliance, a means of accurately tracking performance during your project execution. All of the metrics can be not only customized with regards to their criteria, but also their thresholds can be configured as well, thus matching metrics to your specific project requirements. Metric libraries can also be shared and templated amongst multiple users within your project or organization. One of the recent additions to Fuse is the ability to run a logic trace. Going back to our initial analysis of those hard constraints, I may be interested in the activity called bidder B review. Now, what I really want to further understand is the path leading to and the path stemming from that bidder B review activity. So now, at the click of a button, I can turn on my logic trace, I can see the activities leading into bidder B review, I can see the activities actually leaving or stemming from bidder B review. And it's interesting that in terms of driving logic, my driving logic actually stops after commercial review. Now, additionally, the metrics that we're seeing now only pertain to the driving logic through this bidder B review. So what this allows me to do is start off at a very high level and understand the overall quality of my schedule, but then very quickly drill down and actually pinpoint those activities in the driving path through any given activity. Closely tied to the core Fuse analysis is the ability to conduct advanced logic analysis. Logic is one of the core underpinnings of a sound basis of schedule. And so because of that, Fuse offers a very comprehensive means of analyzing and determining appropriate use of logic. Across the top here we can see the various logic checks, starting with the different logic types, finish-start relationships, finish-finish, start-finish, start-start. More importantly, looking at the use of leads and lags within your project. Unique to Fuse is also the ability to look at redundant logic. These are logic links that can actually be removed from the schedule, thus simplifying and cleansing your project plan without having any detrimental impact on the underlying structure and integrity of the plan. Circular logic, very useful in multi-project environments. Open ends, relationships on summaries, out-of-sequence updates, reverse logic, and what we call open starts and open finishes, a more discrete check than open ends, actually pinpointing those activities that may have predecessors, but yet the predecessor is tied to the finish of the activity, thus causing a dangling start. As with all of the views within Fuse, the results can easily be published. In this example, we've published the results from our logic analysis with each of the various checks, redundancy, open ends, etc., etc. A Fuse analysis isn't limited to a single project. In fact, multiple projects, even from different platforms, can be analyzed in a single Fuse workbook. In a similar manner, comparisons and variances between perhaps iterations or status updates or different snapshots of a single project can even be conducted. In this example, let's select some previous iterations of the schedule, load them directly into Fuse, and go straight to the forensic analyzer where we can start to look at not only additions and deletions and changes, but also look at variances, giving us an insight into the degree of change, being able to understand which activities have been added, removed, which logic links, including leads and lags, have been modified or adjusted resource assignments. All of these then drive the structure of the schedule. So not only can we look at things that have changed, we can see the impact of those changes. A good example is looking at the changes to the critical path. Based on my current schedule, what I'm doing here is comparing 3 previous iterations, and by looking at changes to the critical path, I can see which activities have fallen on and off the critical path, and more importantly, I can see which iteration of my schedule were those changes actually made. And again, the results from a forensic analysis can be directly published to external tools, in this example, a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, highlighting specific tabs for each of the changed attributes within my project. Moving on to reporting, a project analysis tool is only as useful as the reports that you can generate from it. Let's take a look at a different example now where, rather than just looking at schedule quality, let's examine how well our project is performing. Let's rerun our Fuse analysis, but this time actually pinpoint execution metrics such as activities that have completed ahead of schedule or activities that have been delayed. And similar to the previous analysis, let's actually now slice and dice our project by contractor, rerun the analysis such that we can see which contractor is best performing, which contractor is worst performing. Now, pushing this information into a report through the publish feature here, I'm able to generate, first of all, an executive briefing. The executive briefing is a means of automatically generating a report based on the metrics that we've applied. In this example, we grouped by contractor. Here's our contractor A, B, and C. And then within the report, we can look at not only trending information, seeing how the number of activities completed ahead or behind schedule varies, but also further drill down and look at each of the contractors individually and better understand how they are each performing. As with all of the reports in Fuse, data can be published to Word, Excel, as well as Adobe PDF. As a schedule analyst, rather than looking at an executive briefing, what I'm more interested in is actually obtaining what we call an analyst report. In essence, a to-do list. It's a to-do list of all of the activities that we actually need to focus on to improve our schedule. So in this example, we're looking by contractor again at all of the activities completed ahead, delayed, actually finished, took longer than planned. Again, whatever metrics I apply to the view automatically end up in my analyst report. Looking at reporting from a project collaboration perspective, Fuse also includes a project dashboard. And really the purpose of the dashboard is to summarize and group all of the very detailed analytics that we've seen in the main analysis view, the logic analysis, the forensics part of the tool, and compile this into summary presentation type format information. The dashboards are configurable with regards to both layouts as well as the ability to select and configure individual widgets within the dashboard. The latest generation of the Fuse platform goes well beyond just reporting shortcomings and pitfalls within our schedule. In fact, today not only can we analyze a schedule, we can even fix and address those shortcomings directly within Fuse and then automatically publish them back to the native scheduling tool. Here's an example where we have a Primavera schedule. We've already analyzed the quality of the schedule, we've pinpointed redundancies, we've pinpointed constraints, and through the schedule cleanser, we can now choose to remove those redundancies, those constraints, and off the back of the schedule cleanse, Fuse will automatically generate what we call a scenario. Once that scenario has been generated, we can use not only the forensic analyzer to compare the differences and see the updates to the schedule, we can also go back into the main analysis view, rerun our schedule analysis, and determine, in this case, the quality of the schedule has improved as a result of removing those constraints. All of this information through that scenario can then be exported back to Primavera. Hence, the schedule critique as well as the schedule cleanse can now all be directly conducted within Fuse. Hopefully from this brief overview, you've been able to glean a good understanding as to how Fuse provides value to both owners and contractors by not only generating more structurally sound and realistic project schedules, but also giving unique insight during project execution as well as closeout. Fuse is available as both a standalone product as well as a server or Citrix-based solution, and is also offered through multiple licensing options. Please visit projectacumen.com to find out more about how the world's leading project-led companies are using Fuse to their advantage for project analytics.